Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Challenger Cup. We have the North American Series for you today. My name is F. I'm joined here with Cret, and we've already one game underway, but we've got a long bracket for you, don't we, Cret?
Yeah, we're currently in the round of 32, so that means 16, 8, 4, and the round of 2, the finals, which are a best of 3. Lots of Smite in the pipeline, and you guys are going to love every bit of it. Our match is going to be a Quiet Storm versus Resist Gaming. So they're not Surreal, they're not Mighty Storm, they're not whatever they were this week. And make no mistake, they're driving Cooper, our admin, crazy. But they're a pretty good team. They're going to come out and play their hearts out. It's going to be a Quiet Storm versus Resist Gaming.
It's going to be exciting. They're two of our middle-of-the-lane teams that we see come out each week. Resist Gaming is actually 8th overall. North America being led by Vicious and Delicious, the Rambozos, Team Salt, in that order. I believe we have all three of these teams playing today, as well as 5 Angry Men. We have 5 Angry Men, which is a very good team coming out from some familiar names.
Yeah, well, we are pulled into picks and bans. 5 Angry Men we'll get to when we spectate them. Hopefully, we'll see them later on in the tournament. If we get a chance, we actually have not been doing very well on that. Not been getting lucky. We're like, yeah, well, they'll make it through this round, and then stuff happens. But 5 Angry Men is definitely an interesting team. Quiet Storm versus Resist Gaming, also interesting. You might recognize the name Wubbin. Not related to Wubba. Totally different player.
Really?
Yeah. They're not really. They just both have Wub in their name. I guess they like dubstep.
They really like dubstep.
Yeah, dubstep boys, wrecked.
It's the end of times. I've made the same joke as Cret. Please, somebody take my vacancy. Athena's going to be first pick, top ban overall. Good ban coming out for a Quiet Storm. Athena's just completely globally could dominate the lanes. I'd like to see a Geber Mercury in place of this Athena ban. I just think it's the more pertinent ban, but I'm never going to shake my head at an Athena ban.
Right, it's definitely not one of those characters where like, that's a weird ban. We've seen Bastet banned out in the first round of picks. I think it was Cog versus Dig. Cog Red versus Dig. They banned Bastet. It's like, alright, that's weird.
Right.
But whatever. But, I mean, Loki, Zhang, Athena, not too far-fetched. I kind of think the Loki ban is something that you want to ban away if you're targeting someone specifically. And looking at the roster of Resist Gaming, they've got Hudat, T-Mac, Nintendo 64, Awesome Max, and Chaos. I don't see a Loki player, but I'm also not incredibly familiar with these players. I know them, but I don't know their god pools perfectly.
Geb going to be the first pick overall. Good, great, fantastic. Probably the best damn character in the game at the moment, if you want this caster's opinion. Quiet Storm is going to start off the game strong with a support pick. Athena's banned out, so Resist Game is going to be forced into a third pick. We usually see a Bacchus or a character like that. Do you think we'll see a Warrior this game, Cret?
I want to see a Warrior this game. I like what Warriors bring to the table. I think they've been underestimated for a while, but it's going to be Ra and Apollo. So let's take a look at the win rates of these first 2 picks. I always think that's a little bit interesting. You've got Geb rocking that 44.55%, Ra at 57.58%, and Apollo at 64.52%. Statistically, so far, Resist Gaming has won their draft. Geb, though, I mean, part of his win rate, like, it is slightly positive. He's also in 93% of all SPL games.
Yeah, I think a large part of, like, win rate tells me a little bit of the story, but it doesn't tell me the whole story, because part of the beauty of Smite is that the character's flaws and pros and cons are really highlighted by the player. It's not really vice versa, where the character highlights the player's pros and cons.
That's very true. At the same time, when you start to have gods that have a really substantial pick rate, like Apollo is sitting at 76%, so he's actually been played in 50% of games because of the bans coming through. Ra has been played in slightly more than 50% of the games. Gab has been played in 70% of games. And when you look at their win rate, it's like, okay, this god is slightly better than the alternatives. And a big thing about Ra that is absolutely huge is, what alternatives does he have? I mean, you might say Afro, and I would disagree because Afro's heal is single target.
Yep.
And she's about the alt. There's no other viable team healer. Even Shingun, not really a team healer. She doesn't put out enough HPS. It's really Ra.
The only other option is really Hell, and the difference in resiliency for Ra and Hell
Yeah.
is what's the term Hinduman uses for Hebo's number 2? Wet paper.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Hell dies. You don't even need a
Yeah.
Bakasura, like Quiet Storm sort of hinted at before. We're going to round out the first round of picks. Ra, Apollo, and Hun Bat's character I feel is criminally underpicked on the Resist Gaming side. And a Quiet Storm is going to have their middle laner be Agni, while their long lane made up by Geb and Ram.
I mean, Hunbat is also rocking the exact same win rate as Geb. He's just only
That's
been an 18%.
That's incredibly interesting.
It's exact. It's 54.55%. It's shared by Geb, Hunbat, and Nua. And they all have drastically different pick rates. So that is basically just, well, statistical luck, but it's also really cool.
Yeah, Hun Bats, as we see Giannis sort of thought about right now for Resist Gaming, Hun Bats can impact a team fight almost more than any other character. There are few other abilities outside of Fear No Evil that can impact a team fight in a single flick of the wrist, like that one. Fear No Evil opens up to all sorts of combos with Ra and Giannis more specifically, who's scarier. So I like this pick, and I like the disruption.
So the thing about Fear No Evil that makes it so effective is the fact that it doesn't suffer from diminishing returns. It will apply diminishing returns much like every other ability, but when you compare it to Stormcall, if you come in and you Stormcall at the end of the fight and people already have diminishing returns from CC previously being applied to them, you're gonna do a 1 second silence and you'll be like, well, that was useful. It probably didn't have much effect. Fear No Evil will last as long as people are in the ultimate, and then the ultimate's duration scales up. So even up against a tier with a Magi's Blessing, assuming his bubble is down, where most CC would only last half a second, he'll be in the Fear No Evil for the full 2 seconds, fearing himself probably towards a wall. That's why it's incredibly strong. But let's talk about what it can disrupt here. It could be very good against Ram and Agni's dashes, which is absolutely huge.
Yeah, that's very, very true. You can interrupt some of those dashes, which are important. We're going to see Bakasura and Chang'e round out the side for a Quiet Storm. I like these picks, but you have to look intrinsically to like these picks, Kret. I don't think that it's so obvious as to why there's not a really tanky lineup, so Bakasura seems wanted, and Chang'e is always a curious pick. So how do you feel about these two?
Alright, so what I feel like it comes down to is Baka has to be in the jungle, unless they're doing something really weird.
Right.
And Baka jungle, you play around his strengths, which is really the invade. Really just going to the jungle and being like, right, we're going to fight over this buff, and I'm going to get it because I have a built-in Hand of the Gods. That's better than Hand of the Gods. There are weird timings where sometimes Baka won't get the buff. You can actually kill the minion as he's grabbing it, which is really strange. It's also unreliable. You can't counterplay Baka with that. You can get lucky with that, or set yourself up to get lucky. And Chang'e, on the other hand, honestly, she's going to be up against a Ra. I don't hate the matchup, but it's not an easy matchup. And I think that's Chang'e as a whole. She's incredible in a late game. I think she's a wonderful alternative to Zhongli with a different flavor of the Waxing Moon.
I like that.
But what she does is she's tanky, and she's like, right, I'm going to do damage to at least 3 people, and I'm just going to keep doing that until you stop me. You can't really run away. You can't run away. You can sort of jump away, and you can kite her, but you can't outrun her, assuming she's moving at the same speed as you with, like, sprint or whatever. And that's really cool, but her laning phase is awful. She loses a lot of matchups. People are going to be like, I know the immediate response, but Divine Ruin's so good. It stacks the healing return up to 90%. Yes, but the problem is Divine Ruin is bad. Like, the item itself, you get 50% Magic Lifesteal, which is bad because Magic Lifesteal is a 33% coefficient. You get 150 mana, which you don't care about, probably, and you get 50 magic power, which is not that much. So she has a lot of trouble in the laning phase. If you itemize for anti-healing, it's can be powerful, but you have to make it work. And honestly, I think it's on Mr. Makey, the solo laner for Quiet Storm, to make that happen.
Yeah, the Chang'e pick is going to be extremely dependent on Mr. Makey. Bakasura I like because, as you said, he's going to invade, and he can fight Hun Bats real well.
Yeah.
Hun Bats doesn't box well. Hun Bats assassinates and team fights really well, but cannot fight one-on-one traditionally, and Bakasura You just don't fight the Bakasura. So Resist Gaming is going to have to be careful in their own jungle and make sure to play defensively, while a Quiet Storm is just going to go about the traditional way of things and see if they could invade a lot with that Bakasura. We'll get into the game in just a couple of seconds, so stay tuned for some more Smite. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next matchup of the day. Quiet Storm versus Resist Gaming. Quiet Storm in the blue, Resist Gaming in the red. We're going to see these two teams face off. And we do get a warrior support for Resist. We're going to see Guan Yu.
Guan Yu is going to be Hudat's third string pick after the Athena was bad out and Geb was taken, but a Quiet Storm on the left-hand side. Gotta have Majka on your jungle Bakasura. Geb in the support role played by woman. T-Snipes, your ADC Rama. Xerxes, your mid lane Agni, and Mr. Makey on solo lane Chunga. The two teams will come face to face, stare awkwardly at each other, and walk away. Resist does not want to take a 3v5, and there is no hard initiate at level 1 from a Quiet Storm.
Backing is Guan Yu. He's going to go ahead and pick up some just some extra potions so he can get out of there and provide himself some sustain. Resist Gaming. Awesome to the max on Ra in the solo lane. We're going to see Chaos in that mid lane get Giannis. Hudat playing Guan Yu and T-Mac playing Apollo with Nintendo on that Hunbats lurking in the jungle.
Alright guys, so on the right hand side, Resist Gaming Quiet Storm are just going to be doing what's a little bit standard. Resist, making sure they're not getting invaded, and you always want to be careful about that. Maj on the Baka can be very, very scary at level 1. I want to see the invade, but if I don't see it here, it's going to come eventually.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the character is basically created to do. It's not even a stretch or a niche or hard to understand. Baka literally eats minions, so that's going to let him do a lot of work in the jungle, both his own camp clear and his ability to go ahead and clear his enemy's jungle. You combine that with the fact that he's got a Hand of the Gods crit, and there's really not much you could stop Bakasura from doing.
Yeah, you can't. Some contention over the left side blue. You don't see that too often, but nice play from T-Snipes and Woven will result in a late clear coming out on that blue buff from Resist. They will get it, but they're losing a lot of lane experience, and that can be rough. So it's going to actually put the experience in the lane in favor of a Quiet Storm, as their support has more experience than the enemy support.
Good start, as always, for your support to be a little bit ahead. Mad's trying to be a little sneaky and hide over here in the corner, but really not going to trick much of anybody. Pretty much what you expect in this right-hand lane. Ra and Hunbat should be able to clear very well, but you've got Chunga and Bakasura who can sort of just stalemate it. So you're not going to see any real advantage in the solo lane just yet.
Yeah, not just yet. Ra is very good, and Chunga is kind of but Bak is kind of and
exactly.
Bats has trouble applying pressure unless he gets that crit. Rotating out of lane will be Bakasura over to the mid lane. Doesn't have incredible gank pressure here, but he can just sort of force Chaos back, which is nice, and probably will just be heading to his speed and trying to make sure that he gets that after taking a wave or so. Rotating over as well, Nintendo 64. It looks like we're going to have a short one-wave 2v2 in the mid lane.
Jungler and center coming up together. They're going to do the old, what they did exactly in the solo lane, which is just sort of ignore each other and clear. Usually when you see the transition to the mid lane crit, they start to get a little more aggressive, as we see right now, but Xerxes able to get out of there no problem. Madge as well, but they're both very low. Both teams focusing more on the wave than the players.
Right, and now 4 players grouping up on the left. What are they going to go for? I mean, it looks like a rotation was called, but you still have trouble invading a Bakasura. He's going to be able to eat this minion and return himself to a decent value of health with the help of Boomba. No eat minion yet. At least I didn't see it come out.
Might just be on cooldown. We'll take a look at that in the future. He does have it available. We saw him eat over on the solo lane, so it is there. Whether or not he, didn't use it for whatever reason has yet to be found. Duo lane, no real action over here. Apollo Guan versus Ram Geb. I actually like the Apollo Guan combo here for the lane itself. How do you feel about this one?
So Apollo Guan is pretty good, but the thing is Hudak going to be able to apply sufficient pressure? It can be very, very strong at catching out Geb if he can get the right positioning. You can't interrupt his Tallow Assault if you're Geb, and so he can Tallow Assault you, then Warriors will to dash in front of rollout. Wubbin's going to have to be taking a long path around as he's basically outnumbered on the left-hand side of the map. Mid camps will be going to resist there on the left. On the right, probably also to the resist. So they need to make something happen in the solo lane. That's going to be Waxing Moon coming out. Mr. Makey will be trying to follow up. Awesome to the max, so it's just going to retreat to tower. Maj is diving aggro's onto the Bakasura. Not going to get the hits, and that was poorly coordinated at best.
Yeah, just not a lot of interaction on that team. So honestly, both sides of that engagement looked a little bit shaky. You can see the entire Resist Gaming go ahead invading red buff over here for Quiet Storm's jungle. They're going to go ahead and pick it up. No real contention. Agni's pushed up in the middle of his lane. Shanghai's trying to deal with Ra, and the jungler is in his own base. So they successfully invaded the Bakasura.
Right, so that's not supposed to happen, and this means two things. So first of all, it means Nintendo on Hunbats has been able to create some sort of early game advantage over his opponent on Bakasura, which is huge because Hunbats is typically better in late game. Nice Celestial Beam coming out and eliminating Mr. Makey. That also is not supposed to happen. Chunga can have some trouble in lane, but dying to a Ra who didn't even use his ult, he just used it to clear and recall, that's surprising.
Yeah, Ra, we mentioned before a little bit about this solo lane matchup where Ra is going to beat Chunga in the lane, but in general, they're just going to be okay. So Ra versus Chunga is pretty even, with Ra slightly in the lead. Ra will not kill you despite the fact that he wins the lane, though. Just misplay coming out from some of the players in this game. 5 minutes in, 1 death. One kill, 0 kills on the side of Quiet Storm. 1 kill for Resist Gaming, of course. So they have a slight lead, but not too much. 1,500 experience.
And basically what it comes down to when you're laning Chunga, she honestly doesn't win lanes super often, but when you do, you apply just a tremendous amount of pressure. You're able to out-sustain your opponent usually, you're able to out-trade your opponent, and you basically kind of do the Hercules clear thing where you're like, right, I'm just going to sit here and watch creeps die, and if you come near me, I'm going to fight you.
That's true.
And Mr. Makey's probably not going to be able to do that this game after that death. So now, if we watch, I mean, he's going to have a hard time clearing. Has to use his Moonlit Waltz to avoid the Divine Light, and will be able to trade some damage back. So that was well played. But every bit of damage he trades to Ra can heal back better than Makey can.
Yeah, very true. A little bit more sustain on that, and then the built-in anti-heal just isn't enough, and Divine Ruin in lane sort of has a little bit of issues, but we'll see how Mr. Makey, I honestly don't think he's out of this crate. He's about level and a half down. It's really how he responds from here on whether or not this lane succeeds for a Quiet Storm or not. Left ahead mid camp's coming up, and a blue team seems to have that completely on their own, although Geb is backing.
Yeah, so Geb's going to be recalling, and that's going to mean that the mid-camp contention is just free for Resist Gaming. They're going to be able to take the left, probably able to rotate over to the right, as well as the mid-camps are on a staggered timer and coming up just in time. Maj might be able to get these, but he will be contested. Nice stun out onto Nintendo and Hudot. Here comes Wubbin. Maj will be able to get the hog and will be able to jump out. But it costs a lot. Fear No Evil coming out. Great Cataclysm damage under the Bakasura. Through space and time will connect, but Nintendo getting turned on. Chaos finds the kill as Nintendo falls. It's a 1-for-1 trade.
Great shield coming out from the Geb to protect his monkey just long enough to secure the kill. So good, or rather protect the Bakasura just long enough to get the kill. So good play coming out from Wubbin right there. Really liked that micromanagement of the skills. Long hand lane, Rom versus Apollo still duking it out. No real advantage to either of these hunters at the moment. Taking a look at the gold, T-Snipes is 3,900 and Apollo about 4,000. So not really anything I would call a lead. Pretty much a stalemate.
Yeah, it's very, very close. I mean, 1,000 can turn into something a little bit bigger, but at the 7-minute mark, it's not the kind of early game advantage that is likely to turn into a snowball. It's just maybe a little bit extra that can turn some fights slightly in your favor, or at least give you some momentum and make you feel good, or have lane pressure. We mentioned the Raw in this early, and Austin Max is doing quite well. Going to be going into a Warlock stash, so he is playing greedy up against a Chunga that's trying to play aggressive in the lane. Divine Ruin is early on you have to consider that a lane pickup, right? Like, you don't need to get it early for team fights. So Warlock Sash Raw winning lane is bad news for a Quiet Storm.
Rotating over is Who Dat. T-Snipe smells it out. Not going to get caught out today in the jungle, though somebody is going to get caught out. Monkey flips over. A couple of hits from Match, but we don't have the Bakasura on just yet. All he has is the penetration boots, and no real catch-up mechanics, no real heavy damage coming out from him, so nothing to really do against that Hundats.
Yeah, you're gonna have some trouble up against that Hundats, and honestly, Maj hasn't really been able to make enough happen yet. So, late game Bakasura, right? Let's talk about that. You want him to turn into a hyper carry. I just feel like because he's melee, that doesn't necessarily happen, and he doesn't have sort of the mobility tools. Hold on the Gold Fury, a little bit of contention here. Cataclysm comes out, damage onto T-Mac. Gold Fury is pulled incidentally, and that Apollo is going to get taken down by the Bakasura, now turning onto Guan, jump in place, trying to juke, but he didn't need to, and Gold Fury very well could go to a Quiet Storm here. They're not willing to contest because of the rotation from the jungle and the solo.
I respect that decision not to go for it, Kret. I think it was possible that they could go for it, but I do think they'd suffer a couple of deaths. And right now, with the game tied, basically 700 gold in the favor of Resist Gaming, I don't think it would be worth the gamble. Trying to engage on these middle camps is a Quiet Storm. It's 3-on-3 at the moment. Awesome to the max, sort of stuck in middle lane, looking to come around the side, not able to do it. Mid camps go to Resist Gaming on the left, and it looks like they're going to get the ones on the right as well.
I mean, at the very least, they're going to be able to contest it. Nice Celestial Beam coming through. Fear no evil. Majhi's going to be able to get some nice CC immunity. He jumps in, though. Now doesn't have a way out. Will die to the unstable Vortex bombs coming through as well. There's Mickey on his way out. As Soonbots jumps the wall. Now in trouble as T-Snipes will rotate in, and Apollo still on his way. Mid-camps, I believe, went to Resist.
Yes, they did. Mid-camps went to the team with the monkey. Came around the front side, engaged with Fear No Evil. Really no way to confirm. So Resist Gaming go ahead and pick up both mid camps for this time around. Resist Gaming pushing onto the soul lane tower as well. Awesome to the max, doing very well, but a teleport out of Mr. Makey. I like the pick of teleport. You're 2 levels behind.
Yeah.
You have lost half of your tower. As you know, you can do well in this lane if you play very aggressive, but when you're 2 levels behind, you can't play aggressive as a Chunga. So you are forced into that, and I like the decision to admit that to yourself and buy the teleport. So I don't traditionally like this item, but in this specific scenario, I like it coming out from Mr. Makey over here for a Quiet Storm.
Well, so the other big thing is Divine Ruin is actually an incredible pickup for Makey in this game. I don't think it needed to be this early, but you've got Guan Yu's healing, which is not insubstantial. It will be a lot more than you expect. Let's take a look right now. So he's got about 2,000 healing on a Guan in 11 minutes. Like, that's a lot. It's probably a rank 1 heal, so like, think about that, right? You want that Divine Ruin, and I think Shielded Teleport to wards could be very beneficial as a Chunga. That Waxing Moon delivery is huge. He needs to be able to create an abstract advantage, because at this point he's not going to be able to get sufficient lane control to really fight Awesome to the max.
Yeah, Awesome to the max. That's one of the problems with Ra. Kret and I were talking earlier about whether or not Ra's... It was an interesting conversation about Ra's a defensive or burst heal mage, and I feel like Ra defaults to that defensive role, Kret, a lot of the time, but if you let him get ahead, you have to be careful of him just as you would an Agni or any other mage in the book. So, and that's sort of what's going on. We have level 13 on that Ra. So, gotta be careful as he approaches 6,500 personal gold.
That's a lot of gold, and Awesome Max is just pressing his advantages in this lane. Resist Gaming, though, you know what, I think they could be trying to press their advantage across the map a little bit more. I feel like they need to get a little bit more out of their Hunbatsul and maybe try and leverage jungle camps. It's always hard against Bakasura, but I don't think the goal needs to be to invade camps. I think it just needs to be to find fights. I think Resist Gaming could look really good in a fight right now.
Oh, I definitely agree. They've got about 2,300 experience on their side. Everybody in general is about a level or half a level above their direct opponent. Right mid camp's coming up. Resist Gaming has 4 out of 5 of their ultimates, and their 5th ultimate is in the right lane. So no big deal. They could do exactly what they did last time, but instead it's the other way around. Woman drops his ultimate before the Fear No Evil. Mr. Mankey with a kill from hers. Also to the Max in the back though, picking up Madge. Mr. Mankey's gonna follow. Also the Max gets the double. T-Snipe picks one up for his team. Hudat's gonna fall down. Rom in the air. Can he finish off the Apollo? One more. It's gonna miss. Lands directly in the raw heel. Picks it up with the basic. Now he's in a little bit of trouble. Also the Max here, but there's the Gem Shield.
That Snipe's not going to be enough, but the Unstable Vortex will get the kill. T-Snipes goes down. Honestly, that play from both AD carries was incredibly impressive. T-Mac came in at the perfect time, burned that TSM insignia into the ground, but then T-Snipe showed up. He did an amazing job cleaning up. His raw ultimate was on point. Didn't get the 3rd hit, but let's be honest, it wasn't likely. He got the auto attack that counted and nearly got out, aside from an amazing Unstable Vortex from Chaos. That fight was incredibly hype.
Resist Gaming.
Who won?
Resist Gaming won.
Okay.
Resist Gaming won as far as just monetarily. They're up 2,500 now, 4,200 experience as well. I really got to say I liked everything out of Quiet Storm. Last time, the exact same sequence, we saw Hun Bats initiate, completely wipe out Quiet Storm. They looked at that and they said, we can't allow this to happen again. Blink,
right
triple
side,
Cataclysm.
Though. Mr. Makey gonna get dived a little bit. Snipe comes through. They always juke left, I'm telling you.
A lot of pressure coming up on Chang'e, but that's sort of her, that's where you can really see Chang'e shine, as the elusiveness. Yeah. That's why we alluded, well, right now Xerxes is getting stuck out in between a rock and 2 different hard places. Also the Max is here slowing the already slowed thanks to the Giannis. Couple of hits from all these mages, and Xerxes will not be getting out of here. Dashes down. Chaos takes out Xerxes. That's going to be the Agni's second death of the game. Quiet Storm,
Gold
5
Fury.
deaths.
So this Gold Fury call is correct, but it's late. There were 3 people on the right-hand side, and doing a 3v2 Gold Fury would have been really nice, especially with a Bakasura and a Ram, both incredible damage to those objectives. But they started a little bit too late, so maybe they just couldn't find the angle they needed. They were trying to make something happen in long lane. Either way, not what needed to happen there. And now a big rotation over the left-hand side. It's going to be the same idea, 4v3 on the Gold Fury, that Viking longboat to defend the area for Resist Gaming. Ram is on his way, and doing GF against Ram is hard. Cataclysm comes out. Resist Gaming will take the Gold Fury. Fear No Evil onto Weapon, and he's going to get very low. Unstable Vortex will find the kill, but on the backside is Bakasura on Nintendo. Nintendo has had such a hard time against this Baka. The jump will stomp out the kill, but here comes Chaos. His portal will not connect.
Yeah, Bakasura has that Fatalis right now. Uh-oh, Mr. Makey stuck in the middle, went down the wrong path. Good zoning coming out from Agni. They could turn. They do. T-Snipes brings down Hudat. Good portal coming out from Chaos, and he is as safe as a cucumber. But this is sort of what we talked about earlier, Kret. Bakasura is going to beat Nintendo in a fight. We didn't see it at first because he just had boots. Now he's got Fatalis. Now you can't run away. Now you're going to die.
So, right-hand side, Austin Max rotating in mid lane wants this 1v2, but not going to find it up against Makey, and it's going to be disengage, it looks like. Stunned out by just the edge, but T-Mac is here as well. Beam through the wall, nice damage, but here comes T-Snipe. Snipe will not connect through the wall, and now Mr. Makey onto Austin Max again. Austin Max is just Titanic right now. He's basically in do-whatever-I-want mode.
Yeah, he's definitely Hindenburging it up right now. This is what we talked about earlier, about also to the Max, just if you let the Ra get ahead, you have to be afraid of him as you would any other burst mage, even though you don't really think about Ra's like that.
Yeah.
Awesome to the Max is level 17, 9,300 gold on deck. Closest to him is the level 15 Mr. Makey with 7,300. Well, Madge is actually level 15 with almost 8,000. So you're over 1,500 gold above any other character on your opposition. Watch out.
Now, speaking of Madge, she was able to force out a Fear No Evil. Just sort of caught Nintendo in the wrong spot. Didn't need to use his ultimate, but was able to just auto, and force that defensive Fear No Evil. Now, granted, it's not going to be a super long cooldown with that Jotuns, but it could help. So look out for that going into the next fight. I want to talk really quick about this shell coming out onto Resist. I love what the shell is going to bring to the table with the Ra, with the Guan Yu. There's a lot of sustain. And as long as they can take out Chang'e, that could be really big. The other thing is, think about what Chang'e's Moonlit Waltz actually does. It's an immunity frame move, right?
Yeah,
But,
it's basically a moving Aegis.
Sure, but it takes you out of the fight for a short duration of time. Now, think about Anher's Leap, which takes you out of the fight for a short duration of time, right? And you can't get hit by a CC while you're leaping.
Yeah.
What if I told you they last the same amount of time?
I believe it. We see jumps happen all the time. In fact, week 3 of the SPLs, we had one of the most amazing plays I've seen, because it was an intentional highlight play. Auror jumped over a Thanatos execute playing Fenrir. I forget who was playing the Thanatos, but he looked in the sky, saw the Thanatos, predicted the movement, and used the leap to jump over the execute, and eventually got the kill out of it. So, you know, using those immunity from the leaps it's such an exciting play, because with Chang'e, the visuals are a little more forgiving.
Yeah.
But the timing of your mechanics have to be on point.
Well, but the real point I'm trying to make is it's actually just a jump that doesn't go very far and doesn't go through walls and takes a while. Like, it's good for repositioning. It actually speeds you up a little bit, but I don't think Moonlit Waltz is that good. It's really annoying, and the cooldown is really the biggest factor, but it's just a jump without the ability to go through walls and without the long distance, and you have to think of it that way. You got to use it to avoid moves. And
yeah, Chang'e
there are other options.
Very true. That's one of those abilities, in my opinion, that really separate different players on the same god, which I really like. You take a look at somebody like Maniac or a very talented Chang'e player versus somebody newer, and when you choose to use your Moonlit Waltz is very important for the ability for this character to just live. You know, that's a big difference, and you see that skill gap between Chang'e players, and I like that attention to detail coming out in the design of the god.
I love the Voidstone on this Chang'e. It's gonna really help out the Agni. It's going to actually match up very nicely with the Spear of the Mages, because the percent reduction will apply first, then they'll both get that flat reduction, and then they'll go into it with the flat pen. So there could be a lot of damage here coming out from a Quiet Storm if the Agni and the Chang'e are focusing the same target. Speaking of which, Nintendude's going to drop a little bit low, healed back up immediately by Hudat, who's padding those stats, and Nintendude will get the ward he was planning to place. So ward battle is currently a victory in favor of Resist.
20 and a half minutes in, folks, on our North American Challenger Cup. Gold Fury is being aggressed on by Resist Gaming, who do lead the game. 4,000 golds, 5,400 experience, 9 kills to 7. Resist Gaming going to go ahead and drop that Gold Fury back off just a little bit as Geb's shown his face. Madge wants to get a little testy. Overhand smash on cooldown now. Madge looking for an entrance, but that's 3 people in red. Quiet Storm's going to play it safe and back off.
Quiet Storm are going to be playing it safe for now, and honestly, they're just waiting for Resist Gaming to make the move. They're down 4,000 gold, they're down 5,000 experience, so their game plan is, alright, they need to take our structures to win, or they want to take objectives like Gold Fury and Fire Giant to win. We're just going to wait for that to happen. Damage out onto Maj. Nice stun. Guan Yu's Cavalry Charge has been successfully baited out. That's a tool for the engage. Taken away. But Baka gonna go in and get eliminated. Maj not on the same page as his team. Shell has been popped, and actually it's Chang'e on the backhand side. But where's the follow-up? That's the Cataclysm. This could be big. Hudat in a lot of trouble.
Really like the way that started. We'll see how they finish it. Nintendude gonna juke out all of those hits. Mr. Mickey takes Giannis down at the foot of his seat. Nintendude trying to get away. Apollo in the back though. Still chasing the monkey. He's going to go ahead and get out. Awesome to the max. Point blank snipe. T-snipes falls down. 4 members for Resist Gaming chasing out a Quiet Storm. 2 deaths on the side of blue, 1 on the side of Resist Gaming. And they're going to go ahead and heal up. Agni tries to drop the bomb, but really no place for a Quiet Storm to be here. Resist Gaming going to start this Gold Fury. And Geb's still here, so this could be haphazard, but the Gold Fury is already halfway down.
Roll out used, so roll in. Gold Fury will reset. Nice stun from Agni, but he had to dash in to use it, and now it looks like Resist is just going to try and clean this up. Their target is going to be the Agni on the right-hand side who used his dash. He's going to be able to get it back up to get away, and it looks like Quiet Storm might have... Oh, nice snipe. Wubbin taken down by Awesome Max on that Raw, living up to his name. And now Goldtree will be pulled by 2 as zoning comes out by the other 2.
Yeah, Resist Games getting on here. 3 on the Gold Fury. T-Mac is going to go ahead and get on there as well. Also to the Max, realizing he's the most farmed and fed at the moment. Going to try his best. Resist Gaming does get the Gold Fury. Fantastic ultimate coming out from that Chang'e match. Going to go ahead and try and start stuff. Not going to really do it. Resist Gaming continues to cement their lead. 6,100 gold in the lead, but gotta tip my hat to Mr. Makey. 4-man Waxing Moon. Had there been a Hog 3, which there wasn't, that was for sure a steal.
The big thing about that fight was just the sustain. I mean, yeah, so Divine Rune with Chang'e's Moonflower Dance is going to reduce all healing by 90%. That's huge in a fight. But Chang'e can't apply that between fights. So Ra and Guan are just going to sit there and like, right, we're not fighting right now. Just sit, spam our heal, and get our bros to full health. It was so big, it allowed Resist to just play chicken with the Gold Fury until eventually Quiet Storm were forced to go in, and they got punished for it. Gold Fury going to Resist along with a few kills. Now sitting at 6,000 gold, 10,000 experience, and the next goal has to be those structures. They have to find a way to group up and siege. They've got a good comp for it. And I'd say the only weakness is really the hard engage under tower.
You know, one of the things that I really have to point out on the losing side for the moment, Wubbin is playing absolutely out of his mind. Agni got out of that last engagement by Wubbin tossing a Geb shield over the wall through, you know, sort of blindness onto the Agni just because he got away thanks to that shield. Without the shield, he would have definitely died. We've seen a couple of engagements saved by Geb. Xerxes, Geb's not here this time to save you, but a good stun coming out from himself is going to prevent him from getting dove in the middle lane. But Wubbin absolutely performing well. I hope to see him with a couple more good plays.
Ooh,
want to see them bring it back.
On the right-hand side, Mr. Makey is going to be using his movement speed to back out, and he'll be okay. Yeah, so I mentioned the engage, right? Like, Guan Yu's cavalry charge feels like it should be really good engage. Like, when you use it, and you're like, yeah, I'm going so fast, I'm going to stun people. But honestly, it's not. Agni's going to be able to dash away. Rama's going to be able to roll away. Chang'e can use her move speed to get away. Geb shouldn't be that far up in the first place, and he could roll out. And, well, Baka kind of wants to flank anyway. I feel like Resist Gaming are lacking a tool to get into the fight and make it happen, and that's the big thing that's stopping them from taking 4 towers, 3 phoenixes, and the Titan.
Yeah, I'd say so. Hudat's ultimate keeps being baited out in the wrong way, so they're lacking a lot of initiation. That cavalry charge is such a good one, and here we're going to see it actually come out. 3 hits from that, and the stun is going to be, again, missed out. Nintendo takes out Xerxes. Mr. Makey hits a whole bunch of people with that one ability. Forced under the tower is Kez, but a 3-person stun coming out from Geb. Great play right there, but just too much sustain on the way of Resist Gaming. They're going to keep pushing on this right-hand side. Good snipe coming out, not enough to kill. Meanwhile, Rom split pushing on the left.
Yeah, Rom is going to be able to get that tower. Probably not too much more as Apollo has rotated in to help, but looking at the matches, I mean, the ADCs are kind of even. Now, coming through a portal is Wubbin, and teleporting in is the Chang'e. Waxing Moon not available just yet, but 25% CDR, so it can't be too far away. And Mr. Makey, with the help of his team, might be able to hold this tower. It's going to be a little tough.
1,500 global gold coming out should they take down this tower. All the minions are gone, and it looks like Resist Gaming does not want to just push this out. Rom might find himself caught out, understands that they're rotating, and immediately backs away, sees everybody on the wards, understands that he made a great play, and just some de-warding going on. No Fire Giant push just yet. Only 2 members in red right here. And actually, aggression on a Guan Yu, taking a lot of damage, Kret. Bakasura, if he catches up and kills him, it's not going to be answered. They're just going to opt for mids.
Yeah, so Baka is... This is basically the Baka build. You want Executioner, get that shred. You want the Fatalis to stick to people. You've got the true damage, and then you get chin size. And the reason you get chin size is it's more non-scaling damage. You don't need other stats or other items to make that damage good, which is why it synergizes so well with the attack speed and with the true damage on Bakasura. So really nice pickups from Maj. He's building it perfectly. He just hasn't been able to make things happen. Now he's going to be going into Spike Gauntlet, and dare I say it, Soul Eater could be a really good pickup here.
Soul Eater for the Bakasura?
Yeah, right. So Soul Eater gives you really weird stats, but it's nice and efficient. It's just a weird collection. You've got 300 health, you got a little bit of attack speed, a little bit of damage, and a lot of lifesteal. And if he wants lifesteal, that's fine, but he doesn't want Devil Gloves at this point. I don't think Bloodforge would be doing too well for him, and that doesn't build into Aussie. So it's either Bloodforge or Soul Eater, and my money's on Soul Eater.
I do like the Soul Eater. We might see that. I do like the Soul Eater. I would like the Soul Eater a little bit more if there was a physical solo laner. So that's why I'm not in love with it.
Sure.
But I do respect the personal pickup, and it's cheap enough at 1,900 gold, I believe.
2,000.
2,000, basically the same. So it's really, I'm okay with it. You know, I don't mind it. And as you said, it provides you just a little bit of tankiness. So that could be an interesting pick. Both teams right now farming their jungle. Rom's going to go ahead and actually try to solve this Gold Fury 75% of the way. T-Mac's going to come from behind and really try to make something happen right here. Sees what's going on. Thinks that there's more people than there actually are, I think, Kret. T-Snipes is going to get this gold for free.
Yeah, it's going to be a free Gold Fury.
That is curious.
Man, you know, it's probably just one of those little mistakes that happen. It kind of like getting caught lazy backing. You're just like, oops. That's all you can say is it's just an oops.
Actually,
no, man, it happens.
T-Mac went around the side, saw Rom killing the Gold Fury, said, oh no, there's a lot of people here doing gold, came around the front, realized it was Rom, and just smacked himself in the forehead. Everybody makes these mistakes. That's going to be a good Gold Fury, though, right in the face of the opposition. Quiet Storm inching away. It's now only 2,900 gold lead, what was previously over 5,000. So Quiet Storm doing everything that they need to do to sort of get back in this game and really doing work at it.
Right, yeah, they're going to be looking for those little victories, and they found a lot of them, but hold on, Fire Giant is being baited out here, trying to make a little bit of noise. Mr. Mickey in the area, and Mr. Mickey's trying to get his eyes on it. We'll be able to immune some of the slow, but not enough as Hoonbots gets aggressive. Waxing Moon, nice stun, Cataclysm to follow up as the bombs rain down, but now Xerxes, he's out of ammunition. Apollo comes down on the backs, but his Bakasura looking for more Fear No Evil use to peel him off a little bit, but with his ball, he's not quite able to get the Hoonbots. Now Wubbin trying to get in position to get some cleanup, but honestly, I feel like Quiet Storm is sort of out of ammunition here.
Yeah, Quiet Storm ran out of a lot of stuff right there. We've got 4 members in blue, 5 in red, but everybody's generally low for Resist Gaming, chasing down Nintendude. Both mages are going to miss their hits. T-Snipes picks up T-Mac in the back, while Mr. Makey finally picks up Nintendude. Chunga dancing around the battlefield at the moment. Knockup's going to be ages. Chaos falls down to the hand of the enemy mid laner. Awesome to the max, the only one still alive. T-Snipes wants to push. The rest of his team is going to back. It's a Ra versus Rom in this solo lane for now.
Teleport Mr. Makey's gonna come in from the flank. His Waxing Moon is up, and this Ra is going to be dearly surprised. Awesome to the max. Now reduces ceiling to 0. Guan Yu cavalry charged. Used with the instant pop. Beautiful. Nice play from Hoodat. Rom snipe. I think he's gonna go down. 1 miss, 2 miss, 3rd hit. Oh! He hit the hard one.
Beautiful. Lands them. Not sure if that was blind. Spectator client gives us a little bit of we can't exactly see what he can see.
I think first two were blinds.
Incredibly difficult to hit, Kret. Yeah. That was an exciting play. Hoodat wasted a lot of his ultimates. That was a perfect cavalry charge. Perfect execution. Now we've got to see if he's got what it takes to steal this Fire Giant.
Well, and the thing, that was like the perfect example of a late game Chunga. He's not going to be able to steal a Fire Giant as Bakasura forces him away. Maj not really going to be able to get that kill, but Apollo comes crashing down on the backside. T-Mac now in a lot of trouble as Maj takes down Hoodat. T-Mac getting turned on. He's dead. Late game Chunga is like a slightly lower damage Sean Quay. Slightly lower, that lasts forever. As long as she is near you, you are taking damage. She's hard to get away from. You have to find a way to get through defenses and kill her, or get away. And through that entire team fight, Mr. Makey was doing DPS. He's able to do so much, not because of the actual damage he puts out, but because of his uptime. He was always getting hits with that Crescent Moon dance, always applying the Moonflower dance to reduce sustain over a very extended engagement. Beautiful Chunga play. It finally happened. She's great at this stage in the game. You just got to get there, and it was a rough ride.
And the teleport worked out.
Yeah.
Teleport worked out. We mentioned that teleport is good when you're behind. Ra, just essentially, if you're just joining us, folks, Ra, Resist Gaming had a much bigger lead. Scratch that lead change. Quiet Storm leading this game by about 4,000 gold, almost as much experience. Resist Gaming previously had a foothold in this game. Long lane being fiercely won out by Awesome to the Max's Ra versus Mr. Makey's Chang'e. Mr. Makey was forced into teleport. We commented on it favorably because you kind of just have to get back to lane, and it wound up getting him a kill. So good job, Mr. Makey, with that teleport. Wow. You rarely see that actually work out in competitive play.
All right, so let's go a little bit more in depth with this teleport. I think it's a really interesting flavor pickup. Now, what you gain is global presence in a meta that is very much about global presence. I mean, we're seeing Yanis picks, Ra picks, Athena, or not Ra, Rom picks, Athena picks, Apollo picks. Like, pretty much every team has a global. This gives you one more, the ability to globally rotate. You give up an item slot, but Chang'e, yeah, it would be really great to have a Heavenly Agility there, but Heavenly Agility is one of those actives that in a lot of compositions isn't necessarily required, it's just really handy. And I think for a Quiet Storm, that's one of those situations. Heavenly Agility would be great. In certain team fights, it would be advantageous, it would be better than the teleport, but when Mr. Makey can make that global rotation work for him, that's... nothing else can do that.
It's the Fist of the Gods versus Hand of the Gods conversation, essentially. Goldfear is going to be aggressed on by Quiet Storm, almost undoubtedly going to go down with this Bakasura and the entire Resist Gaming field in their own wheelhouse. It does fall down, Resist Quiet Storm lead to almost 6,000, so a complete reversal right here. You see Fist of the Gods and you assume that Hand is better, but if you can get a kill every 60 seconds for that Fist of the Gods, it's a good purchase.
Yeah, I mean, and it also, Fist of the Gods is a little similar to Teleport. It gives your character something that your character doesn't have, so I like it on Nemesis. I don't like it on Thor. Thor already has 2 stuns, you don't need a third. On Nemesis, it's like, alright, now my jungler can set up my Raw Snipe. That can be very, very nice. But, you know, when Thor uses Fist of Gods, it's like, well, you already hit the Anvil of Dawn, you already hit the wall. This stun's gonna last half a second because of diminishing returns. That isn't very good. But it can make the difference. You know, and the other thing is, anytime you're getting a Fist of the Gods, you're not getting a Hand of the Gods. And Hand of the Gods could secure an objective.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the... that's generally my entire feeling about Teleport. You're right, folks. Teleport's not bad. But what aren't you getting? Which is sort of what we talked about before. Sort of the bigger conversation. Fire Giant just being weighted out by Resist Gaming. Is this Resist Gaming's sort of... did they engineer this, or is this a Quiet Storm just being too passive? Why is nothing going on with this Fire Giant buff?
You know what? I think Quiet Storm is being too passive. They were able to clear out all of the inner towers, but they didn't push a Phoenix. They didn't feel comfortable with it, and they probably should have. But it's okay. They're online. They want one more team fight to cement the victory, and they took that Fire Giant buff and they farmed with it. They just farmed everything they could find. They established a gold lead of 6,000, which is going to affect team fights. And if they won that team fight when they were behind, maybe 4,000 gold, how are they going to do in a team fight when they're ahead 6,000? That's a 10k gold swing, right? So I like Quiet Storm's chances in this fight. They just have to play it right. They have to leverage their Chang'e late game. They have to leverage their Bakasura late game in that he does incredible amounts of damage as long as he's next to people before he dies.
Yeah, it's completely up to that scenario, and we'll see when... both teams are just going to wait for Fire Giant, correct? And looking at what Resist Gaming has done so far, we've only seen Geb initiate once in this entire game, and that was the second mid-camps. Every time else has been Resist Gaming.
T-Snipes is going to force a split push here on Apollo, which means he's confident that he can win the 1v1, and with a red pot going, he certainly might be able to. This is a full build ROM, so Apollo can have a lot of trouble dealing with that. Hunbasi can rotate over the mid lane, will show himself. T-Snipes wants to take this fight as well, playing very aggressive, forces the jump away, and Nintendude will be looking to reposition, as Hudak could get caught out here, jump in from Maj, not going to get the first hit to get that Fatalis rolling. But now Resist might be too far away from the Fire Giant. This actually could just be a burn with Mr. Making his own.
Yeah, Bakasura is actually just not even hitting the Fire Giant enough. Nintendude already dead. T-Snipes gets the last hit on that one. Hudat in the backline, very, very low. T-Mac low as well. Bakasura can't get close enough to get that Fatalis online. T-Snipes with a double from the ultimate. Again, out of control in that accuracy. the rest of Resist Gaming is going to be able to back off, but the damage has been done. T-Snipes with another 2 kills under his belt. 40 seconds per player right there. Apollo's going to dive the Fire Giant he wants to, running out of mana because they're slowly killing it. Xerxes gets the zone kill, essentially, on Awesome to the max, and this Fire Giant goes the way of a Quiet Storm, leading the game. 8,000 gold, 9,500 experience, 19-16 in the kills department.
Ooh.
38 minutes in.
Shielded teleport. Shielded teleport used to get to left-hand side by Mr. Mackey. He's gonna apply split push pressure, make this a 4-1. And honestly, like, can Chang'e 1v1, 1v2 against an ADC? Yes, if you juke well. It's not necessarily easy, but she has the tools to do it. And so I really like this play. I think Mr. Mackey, with his sustain from Fire Giant, his nice damage at this point, he's got an ethereal staff. Let's take a look at these stats real quick. 2,400 health, 140 fizz defense, 80 match defense, sitting at nearly max cooldown reduction and 450 magic power. So this is a very scary Chang'e. Team X can have a lot of trouble on the right-hand side. 4 members of the team versus 4. They're winning that match. Baka doing a lot of damage to Nintendude, who's going to be able to jump away. Now turning on Hudat with no way out. Taking down is the Guan. No Agni there. Just 3 members.
Beautiful stun coming out from the Geb, getting that character by the tail end. Wubbin taking a lot of damage now, though. 3 members on him. No stun coming out from the Agni. Mr. Makey with a great shield on him. Not enough. T-Mac is a late-game hunter, and that causes damage. Xerxes also gonna die. Lot of unnecessary death right here. If Wubbin falls to be very, very bad. T-Snipes is here trying to make a turnaround for his team. Up in the air, looking for Awesome to the max. Misses the first one. Misses the second. Misses the third. Awesome to the max. Complete serpentine path. Not able to get hit at all. Now T-Snipes needs to be a little bit careful. Rahun Bats versus Ram versus Geb. I think Ram versus Geb still has this, but they're going to back off anyway, because this late in the game, you got to be careful.
You got to be careful, and the big thing about that fight was T-Snipes wasn't there.
Yep.
And so it was just like, right, Apollo got the hits he needed. Blink, oh, 730
wow.
to the face, Nintendo taken down, and now it's a 1v1, but late game hunters are so strong. This is why they call them the AD carry.
Wow.
780 to the face. Double kill, 1v2 for T-Snipes. And that's why they lost the fight at first, because Apollo is able to do the same thing. He's not full build, or he wasn't full build then, he is now. Does a lot of damage. And you know, I said Chang'e has the tools to deal with the ADC, but when you don't get the jukes, when your opponent gets the hits, you just die. That's what happened, and the fight just turned temporarily out of control. And T-Snipes, well, he turned it back around.
I love the late game hunter play, Cret. It's just so rewarding. If you make it to that late game and you're accurate enough, you can win fights all by yourself, or at least get the turnaround for when your team loses the fights without you, and that's exactly what T-Snipes did. Unnecessary Gold Fury right here. It's actually going to be a defensive Gold Fury. If Resist Gaming picks up this gold, that allows Chaos to finish his build. Hudat can start building his 6th item. It's big for Resist Gaming. Doesn't really matter for a Quiet Storm. So that's going to be a defensive Gold Fury, just taking it off the map so the team in red can't take it. We're approaching the 41st minute right now, and fiercely in the lead is a Quiet Storm with a mighty lead, 11,000 gold.
Yeah, but honestly, what's the difference here? It's 2 levels on Hudat, the support, and then it's about an item and a half on Suplayer. No, Soul Reaver's done. So it's 1 item on Yanis, half an item on Nintendude, and an item and a half on Hudat. That's the lead. Because at this point, people are starting to cap out. Actives are almost done across the board. Wubbin doesn't have Blink 3. Does he need the extra little bit of cooldown? He'll probably get it, but mostly it's all about going towards. T-Snipes, though, is sitting on the double pot, including the 3k pot.
I think it's time for Mr. Makey and Xerxes to sell their Divine Ruin.
They
Geb
need
has
one.
Geb has one.
Okay, yeah.
And with that pickup on Geb, I really and truly think that the mages don't need it, and more burst, or either way, either you go more burst, or you go more defensive to stay alive a little bit longer. Having 1 Divine Ruin is fantastic. I would even keep it on the Chang'e, but I think it's time for Xerxes to go ahead and take a look at his build. Maybe even a Gem of Isolation if you want to be utilitarian like that. But right now, a Quiet Storm really hasn't had many problems in team fights with this comp.
I mean, yeah, I'm down with 2, right? 1 to get the apply, the other to make sure it's on everyone, but 3 seems like overkill, and let's be honest, without Divine Rune's passive, it's really bad, and you shouldn't buy it if the passive isn't doing anything. So just having another item in there, a Soul Reaver, could make all the difference. A Soul, even on Geb, maybe he could have a Soul Reaver. That's fine too. I mean, the Soul Reaver, the damage is nice, but it's really about the passive, and you don't need damage to deal damage. You don't need magic power to deal damage with the Soul Reaver passive. You just have to land a hit. So yeah, maybe a little bit of inefficiency in the late game, and that honestly kind of is a big deal, but it's all about how the fights are played and what happens. Guan Yu's ult is going to come in is a little bit early, and the Fire Giant will be reset through space and time. Is going to get a big hit onto the ROM, and T-Snipes needs to go and lifesteal. He's effectively out of this fight, but so is Nintendo. Nice Cataclysm. Who dat? Taken down, Mr. Making the front, tanking up a lot. And now flanking is Maj. This is gonna be a kill onto the Ra, using Fist of Gods to make sure it's secured. Chaos gonna try and let his team escape with the threshold beads for cooldown on Maj. He's gonna jump in, but can he get the hits? Crit for 538 onto him, now at half health. Wubbin, nice play from T-Mac.
I loved the escape coming out from Chaos over here in the left lane. Actually gets his back stopped, but just beautiful understanding of the geometry. Very easy to port yourself 5 inches away instead of 5 meters away. And Giannis got the correct portal out. Greed coming out from Rom. T-Mac not going to fight it, but Quiet Storm gets chased off of Phoenix to pick up a Fire Giant. 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other to crit. Both of these are going to be a win for the team in blue. Quiet Storm officially destroys the Fire Giant, extends their lead to about 12,500 gold. And all 5 members are going to go ahead and back, and we should see one of the final stretches coming up.
You know, honestly, one of the biggest things is once you hit late game on a Guardian, on a support, especially on a character like Guan, you have to change your playstyle, because no amount of items is going to stop you from dying to Bakasura and Rom. They will kill anything. And so you have to really use your peel, make sure you're positioning properly. You can't get caught out, and Hudat's having trouble with that. I mean, the last few fights, he's gotten taken down by Baka, and in part, that's Baka doing his job. But overall, these teams are both doing very well in the late game. It's very even. The ward coverage is very strong from Resist, which is exactly what they need to do. The right side of the map is lit up like a Christmas tree, and I'm pretty sure it's only September, so they're doing it. They're doing it. Who do I want to call out here? I think Target sets up their Christmas decorations really early. Either way.
Stop. Just, we've got. Moving on from the Target conversation, because I know that's what
come on
off air.
No, that's
we've got
just my
3
mom.
people heading into the right-hand lane in blue. A Quiet Storm a little bit spread out at the moment. Bakasura in the middle lane by himself. I don't hate that. Bakasura is a character that can do that. Chunga by herself in the left lane. Not a fan of that. Rotating over to join the rest of the team. All 5 members gonna coalesce over here in the right-hand lane. Previously the solo lane just so long ago. 46 minutes deep into this match, Kret. We're going to watch the blue team come ahead and approach the final Phoenix.
Yeah, I mean, they just got to take it down with his auto attacks, but it's going to get 4-shot by the Hunters, and then hopefully Quiet Storm will realize, wait, our Hunter 4-shots Phoenixes. Let's just take them. Guan Yu's cavalry charge coming in. This could be the fight. Fear No Evil is going to disrupt a lot, but Guan's not going to be able to get too much. Wubbin now trying to reposition. T-Mac giving chase, but down a little bit low, and Wubbin's going to be able to reposition. Maj on the backside will take down Nintendo and Chaos, Hudat as well, and this could be the game. Rom up in the air. Maj is going to die, but T-Snipes takes T-Mac, so I guess Snipes is the better T. Now going onto the Titan of Chaos, sitting at half health, getting lower and lower, and in the end will fall. A Quiet Storm, not a quiet victory.
Hard fought, 46 and a half minutes. A Quiet Storm comes from behind. About 6,000, 7,000 gold deficit from Quiet Storm, trailing to Resist Gaming all the way up until about 20 minutes in, I'd say, Kret. And then come back from behind, about a 10,000 gold swing. So good play coming out right there. Makes you just completely sweat out of your brain, doesn't it?
Honestly, that was a tiring game for everyone involved. People are just wiping the sweat off their brows. They're letting out those emotions that have been pent up throughout the match, be it laughter, tears, smiles, whatever. We both know I won't smile, but let's move on to our next game in the round of 16. We've got a long day ahead of us, guys. We'll be back to see Torch versus Rambozos.